course, we had the fourth Democratic debates last night, about 24 hours ago of when I'm live streaming this video. I gotta say, Yang really surprised. It was his strongest performance yet, and I didn't think I would be saying that, considering there were 12 candidates in total up on that stage. It was Yang's best performance yet. And I gotta say, I was pretty much like, clapping the whole time. Like, when Yang was talking, I was just like giving him a standing ovation pretty much. Like, Yang just hit. He went after Bernie. He went after Elizabeth Warren. He didn't go after Joe Biden, but like, Joe Biden doesn't really have any policies to attack besides, I promise to take us to the old Obama days. But yeah, he Yang made sure to interrupt or interject. That got him a couple minutes. The moderators of the debate were actually pretty nice to Yang. Pretty nice, actually. So that was good to see. It was awesome. It was awesome to see. A stellar debate performance for sure. Actually, before we go into this article, let's actually go ahead and okay. Andrew Yang fourth debate. So, here was his answer on the wealth tax as a direct response to Elizabeth Warren. So here was his thoughts on the wealth tax.
Senator Warren is 100% right that we're in the midst of the most extreme winner-take-all economy in history. And a wealth tax makes a lot of sense in principle. The problem is that it's been tried in Germany, France, Denmark, Sweden, and all those countries ended up repealing it because it had massive implementation problems and did not generate the revenue that they'd projected. If we can't learn from the failed experiences of other countries, what can we learn from? We should not be looking to other countries' mistakes. Instead, we should look at what Germany, France, Denmark, and Sweden still have, which is a value-added tax. If we give the American people a tiny slice of every Amazon sale, every Google search, every robot truck mile, every Facebook ad, we can generate hundreds of billions of dollars and then put it into our hands because we know best how to use it.
There you go. Andrew Yang gave a great response, a really great response to Elizabeth Warren's wealth tax. He made her look foolish without personally insulting her. Like, he even said, Warren is 100% right that there's like serious need for changing the economy or something like that. But then he goes in saying that the wealth tax is something that's been a failure in other countries in Europe, and they were all repealed, and that we shouldn't be following the footsteps or taking ideas from other countries, especially when their ideas have failed specifically. And yeah, Yang gave a really strong answer there, and it ended up with some nice headlines. Then I think the other standout there was one with Bernie, I remember, but the other standout against Elizabeth Warren was on automation. I don't know why I said it. I know I said it like that, but automation.
Senator Warren, I've been talking to Americans around the country about automation.
So, a little backstory. This was a response to Elizabeth Warren, or actually one of the moderators asking Elizabeth Warren, on her saying that automation is like not really a big thing. Quote, saying that automation is a good story, except it's not really true. So she said this a while back, so I'm really surprised, but also happy that the moderators asked Elizabeth Warren this question head on, to give her thoughts on automation. And yeah, Elizabeth Warren stuck to her guns that automation is not a big deal, and like what's really taking jobs is like the fact that we're losing jobs overseas. But then our boy Andrew Yang comes in with the response, and here we go. Here's a response right here.
Warren, I've been talking to Americans around the country about automation, and they're smart. They see what's happening around them. Their Main Street stores are closing. They see a self-serve kiosk in every McDonald's, every grocery store, every CVS. Driving a truck is the most common job in 29 states, including this one. 3.5 million truck drivers in this country, and my friends in California are piloting self-driving trucks. What is that going to mean for the 3.5 million truckers or the 7 million Americans who work in truck stops, motels, and diners that rely upon the truckers getting out and having a meal? Saying this is a rules problem is ignoring the reality that Americans see around us every single day.
Those are facts. And dang, something that Yang said at the end was cut out from the specific video, so that's kind of a shame. We might be able to pull it up here. Oh, okay, this part.
On the data on this,
Senator, thank you very much.
We're responding to make this work.
Your time is up. I want to give Congresswoman Gabbard.
Boom! You see what Yang just said? Yang just said, "I have the data."
A chance to respond.
That was awesome. That was awesome by Yang. But yeah, you know what? I totally went off on a tangent, and I think I will cover this video. I mean, I will cover this topic, this recent hit piece, but in another video. I think this video is just going to be focusing on Yang's performance at the 4 Democratic debates.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me go to the part where Yang went after Bernie, or not after, but made a direct response to Bernie's federal job guarantee idea.
When we're talking about Trump,
Mr. Yang,
right here.
That even includes talking about impeaching Donald Trump.
Right
Mr.
here.
Yang, your main solution to job loss from automation is a universal basic income. Why is giving people $1,000 a month better than Sanders' plan to guaranteeing them a job?
So this is a federal job guarantee, aka jobs for everybody, versus $1,000 a month, aka money for everyone, whether you have a job or not.
For the spirit,
aka $12,000 a year, $1,000 a month
of a federal jobs guarantee, but you have to look at how it would actually materialize in practice. What are the jobs? Who manages you? What if you don't like your job? What if you're not good at your job? The fact is,
these are true. I mean, Yang's 100% right. There's a lot of factors. Like, are you just given a job and then given a job to work for like the next 40 years of your life? Like, can the government, like especially with automation coming, can the government give you a job stable enough to protect you for the next 3, 5, 10 years? Especially with automation coming soon.
most Americans do not want to work for the federal government.
Also
and
true.
saying that that is the vision of the economy of the 21st century, to me, is not a vision that most Americans would embrace. Also, Senator Sanders...
Bernie's he's just mouthing, nope, nope. But, like, I don't know how you can argue against this.
Most Americans do not want to work for the federal government. And
Well, you kind of can,
saying
but...
that is the vision of the economy of the 21st century, to me, is not a vision that most Americans would embrace. Also, Senator Sanders' description of a federal jobs guarantee does not take into account the work of people like my wife, who's at home with our 2 boys, one of whom is autistic. We have a freedom dividend of $1,000 a month. It actually recognizes the work that is happening in our families and our communities. It helps all Americans transition. Because the fact is, and you know this in Ohio, if you rely upon the federal government to target its resources, you wind up with failed retraining programs and jobs that no one wants.
Yep.
When we put the money into
Bunch of meaningless jobs.
our hands, we can build a trickle-up economy. From our people, our families, and our communities up, it will enable us to do the kind of work that we want to do. This is the sort of positive vision in response to the 4th Industrial Revolution that we have to embrace as a party.
Senator Warren, you wrote that.
Really well said by Yang. I mean, I know I'm Yang Gang and all, but, you know, just the government supplying everybody with a job, that's not going to end poverty. And I feel like the main goal we should be going for is ending or eradicating poverty. And sure, you can't live off $12,000 a year, but you're not supposed to. It's it's supposed to help you get there. It's supposed to be a tool that can help you, like a launch pad that can get you somewhere.
That blaming job loss on automation is, quote, a good story.
Okay, so that was I think we're running out of, I think we're just about the end of all of Yang's strong points.
Diagnosing the problem. There are absolutely excesses in technology.
Oh,
and in
okay,
some
this one was the decriminalize opioids. Yeah, we can cover this. Yang gave a great response here. Wait, when does this start? Okay, here we go.
Solve the crisis.
That's it.
Use of small amounts of opioids, including
to do to protect ourselves, getting our election.
Mr. Yang,
Okay,
you
right here.
want to decriminalize the possession and use of small amounts of opioids, including heroin. How would that solve the crisis?
That's exactly right. And we have to recognize this is a disease of capitalism run amok. There was a point when there were more opiate prescriptions in the state of Ohio than human beings in the state of Ohio.
Crazy. Also, crazy that it's true, and just crazy that it's just it's just crazy.
And for some reason, the federal government thought that was appropriate. They ended up levying a $600 million fine against Purdue Pharma, which sounds like a lot of money, until you realize that company made $30 billion. They got a 2% fine, and they killed tens of thousands of Americans 8 an hour. So if the government turned a blind eye to this company spreading a plague among its people, then the least we can do is put the resources to work in our communities so our people have a fighting chance to get well. Even though this is not a money problem, we all know this is a human problem.
Yep.
And part of helping people get the treatment that they need is to let them know that they're not going to be referred to a prison cell. They will be referred to treatment and counseling. I talked to an EMT.
That is so important. Like, think of how many people are afraid to come forward with their addictions, knowing that they'll just be tossed in the prison cell. Like, when they try to, when they try to seek help, they should be not thrown in a jail cell, but taken to a rehabilitation. I think I said that right. Rehabilitation center. Like, come on. We should definitely be borrowing those aspects from other countries, I believe, such as Denmark and Sweden. I believe those countries handle situations like that way. But let's continue the video.
In New Hampshire, and he said he saves the same addicts over and over again, because the fact is, after you save someone who's ODing, you just bring them back to their house and they OD again the following week. So we need to decriminalize opiates for personal use. We have to let the country know this is not a personal failing, this was a systemic government failing. And then we need to open up safe consumption and safe injection sites around the country because they save lives.
Thank you, Mr. Yang. Let's turn to the growing concerns over the power of big tech companies.
Okay, this leads right into like one of the last things that Yang said. So let's go ahead and do that.
Mr. Yang, Senator Warren is calling for companies like Facebook, Amazon, and Google to be broken up. Is she right? Does that need to happen?
So yeah, Warren, I don't believe I captured this in this video, or like in the video we're watching together, but Warren said something like she wants to, one of the ways she'll break up big tech companies is that going forward, all companies need to have 40% of their like board members have to be chosen by employees. Now, in theory, this might be more, give more power and give more leverage towards the employees to not get screwed over, but in actuality, I feel like most employees are just going to try to exploit as hard as they can to make a quick buck in the short term. And how can like Amazon, Amazon or Google like suddenly have 40% of their board members chosen by employees, some employees who may have no economic experience, any knowledge in the realm. That's just so weird to do by Elizabeth Warren. And all right, let's continue.
As usual, Senator Warren is 100% right in diagnosing.
And I like, okay, I said continue and I paused the video. But yeah, I just want to point out Yang has been, he like went at Warren like 2 or 3 times and went at Bernie once, all while being very nice. So you got to respect that.
Diagnosing the problem. There are absolutely excesses in technology, and in some cases, having them divest parts of their business is the right move. But we also have to be realistic that competition doesn't solve all of the problems. It's not like any of us wants to use the fourth best navigation app. That would be like cruel punishment. There's a reason why no one is using Bing today.
Ooh,
Sorry, Microsoft, it's true.
I forgot about this
So
part.
it's not like breaking up these big tech companies will revive Main Street businesses around the country. And as the parent of 2 young children, I'm particularly concerned about screen use and its effect on our children. Studies clearly show that we're seeing record levels of anxiety and depression coincident with smartphone adoption and social media use. Breaking up the tech companies does nothing to make our kids healthier. What we have to do is we have to home in on the specific problems we're trying to solve and use 21st century solutions for 21st century problems.
I really like that line.
The 20th century antitrust framework will not work. We need new solutions and a new toolkit. That's the way we can fight back.
That was a good line. We need 21st century solutions for 21st century problems. Straight up, that's how you do it.
Data is worth more than oil. How many of you remember getting your data?
Yang talked about the data check, like, you know, the classic data is worth more than oil. How many people remember getting their data check in the mail? And he talks about the data check because every citizen in Alaska receives $1,000, $2,000 a year using oil money, and they get a check in the mail from all that oil. And then Yang kind of connects it to the fact that if data was our property, then we would be receiving checks to it. So that's an overlooked but important Yang policy, is that he wants to make data a right for all the citizens. So that's what he's going to do. And let's skip over to the closing statement. So as you can see so far, hopefully I'm showing well how strong Yang's performance is at this 4th debate, the strongest performance yet. Hopefully if I kind of spark my interest again in making videos and stuff, hopefully new post-debate polls come out Thursday, Friday, maybe even Saturday, and hopefully they show Yang with a nice increase in polling, because this was his strongest debate performance so far. So let's just start with his let's go ahead with his closing statement, or kind of his closing statement. Want to remind that there was no opening or closing statement, so it was a little bit tough.
Questions for 10 straight hours this Friday.
I skipped it a bit. Oops.
I want to thank.
All right, here we go.
First, I want to thank all the voters tuned in at home. If you don't feel like you answered you got your question answered tonight, it's understandable. There are 12 of us. I'm going to be answering voter questions for 10 straight hours this Friday. My website, yang2020.com, and if you ask your question tonight, there's a better chance I'll get to it.
So yeah, I'm gonna go a little bit off the cuff here. There you go. If you go to yang2020.com right now, you'll be able to ask Andrew Yang a question. Always wanted to hashtag ask Andrew a question. Now is your chance. This Friday, October 18, he'll be answering questions live all day long. And then you put your name, email address, zip code important, and email address important, because now for every person that does this and submits their question, like, it's good that it's required that you have to do the email and zip code, because now Yang knows the general area of where a lot of people are asking questions, and also they have your email address, so they can start sending campaign emails and stuff like that. I think it's genius. I think Yang said on a CNN interview, like a bit earlier today, like a couple hours ago, that over 20,000, something like that, over 20,000 people have already asked a question. So that's like 20,000 emails right there. Like, you're required to put an email and zip code. So that's just smart marketing by Yang. But yeah, back to the closing statement.
My surprising friendship. It's been so much fun running for president because I've got.
He talks about a very awesome member of the Yang gang here.
to meet so many Americans I never would have gotten to meet otherwise. The friendship that sticks out for me is a guy named Fred, who's an avid Trump supporter, a trucker. He let me ride in his truck for hours. He spent some time in jail. I heard about his experiences trying to get other people off of drugs. And I'm happy to say that after our ride together, he actually said that he would move from Donald Trump to my campaign, which was a thrill for me, and we've remained in touch ever since. The truth is that what happened to the 4 million manufacturing workers here in Ohio and Michigan and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and Iowa did not care about our political party. The fourth industrial revolution is now migrating from manufacturing workers to retail, call centers, transportation, as well as to white-collar workers like attorneys, pharmacists, and radiologists. It does not care about our party. Donald Trump had a set of solutions in 2016.
So yeah, you gotta love how Yang took a question about friendship and he was able to shout out his Friday hashtag Ask Andrew event. He shouted out Fred the Felon from Yang Gang, from the Yang Gang. From the Yang Gang itself. Fred the Felon's a pretty notorious member. It's pretty cool that he shouted him out. He actually, if y'all didn't know, Fred the Felon actually has a giant truck with a bunch of Yang Gang advertisements on it, and he's like driving everywhere around it. Like, it's really awesome. And he goes in talking about automation and about the jobs that are being left behind, or like the people that are being left behind. And then now he goes on about Trump, I believe.
What did he?
Oh yeah, Donald Trump. Yeah, okay.
Solutions in 2016. What did he say? He said we're going to build a wall. We're going to turn the clock back. We're going to bring the old jobs back. America, we have to do the opposite of all of these things. We have to turn the clock forward. We have to accelerate our economy and society as quickly as possible. We have to evolve in the way we think about ourselves and our work and our value. It is not left, it is not right, it is forward, and that is where we must take the country in 2020.
Mr. Yang, thank you very much.
There you go. Yeah, it's not left. Or is it my left or your left? Okay, my left. It's not left. It's not right. Forward. But yeah. You gotta love how Yang was able to kind of put it all together in the end there. Sorry for all the East Coast people. It's gonna be a late one. But hopefully I'm back. Like, I really hope I'm back. And yeah, I think that's it from me. If you're watching this in the day, I hope you have a good day. If you're watching this at night, oh, I hope you have a good night. And yeah, you know what? I think recording my videos live, quote unquote, well, it is live, but then I edit it afterwards. I think that's the move going forward. Then doing multiple takes and recording over and over again, like, that can get tedious. But yeah, I think that's the play right there. Thank you all so much for watching. That's pretty much it for me. I've been Detective Lewis, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.